Hello, everyone. It's Celia. Today, I am going to attempt to paint this portrait. I am starting out on some heavy paper that is meant for acrylic. It's from one of my sketchbook pads that I have. And I'm going to just start here getting my supplies together. And we'll be using acrylic paint, some paintbrushes, water, and a pencil. I know that a lot of painters that do portraits or what have you don't like to use pencil or any sketches. They just start right away painting. And as I've done that before, I've found that for me, most of the time, I like to use a little bit of both. And it hasn't been a problem for me. I want to say that the main thing, the number one thing I have learned from being an artist for 30 years plus, is that whatever you learn from whomever you learn from, wherever you go, if you went to school or someone taught you, the number one really important thing that I think maybe serious beginners might think is that you have to follow rules. You have to follow all the rules. And it took me a while to learn that you don't. You do not have to follow the rules when it comes to art. Experiment, explore different mediums, and try different things, no matter what anyone says. If it feels right, try it out. Maybe you'll find that you love it. Maybe you'll find that you don't. But either way, it's not going to harm you. And not only will it not harm you, it's good to make mistakes. You learn from them. I'm sure you've heard that before, but it's really true. You learn from your mistakes. And as much as I've had trouble with my ADHD and teachers in the past, there was a teacher once who told us, the class, that you could actually cheat and learn. The teacher told us that we could cheat and learn so that if you looked at someone's paper and copied it in, say, math or English or whatever, and you look at their homework and you copy it down, you might pick up a thing or two from that. And I'm not saying that cheating is okay. It's not. I'm just making a point that we learn from mistakes. We learn anything that we see or hear or in tune to can teach us something, even if it's not a good thing. Maybe we see something bad and we know then we don't want to do that because that's bad. Well, we learned something from seeing something bad. So anyway, that's my little 2 cents on this video. You do not have to copy people or follow the rules exactly. But I do want to say that rules are good to know because, of course, you learn from those too. You learn from direction. You might not have an idea where to start. You might not know about brushes or certain tools or certain kinds of paint. And then it's important to learn about that so that you can decide what you like, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. So I guess what I'm saying is it's a combination of a lot of things. For me, I learn a lot from watching people. But although I went to art school, I learned from doing, from practicing. I mean, that's what it really comes down to, practice. And believe me, I still practice. I need to practice. And knowing that I'm not the greatest artist out there, I also have appreciation for what I do. People tell me that they like my work, and that gives me courage to keep going. And for one, right here, as you can see, I'm just sketching out a very simple line sketch. I'm trying not to go too hard on the paper. It'll all be covered with acrylic paint, but still I'm trying to be mindful of not pushing too hard because it can dent the paper. And I like to just start all around, fill up my space so that I can fit in whatever the subject is. That way, you're creating balance within your painting. No matter what it is, what the subject is, you want to have balance. And balance can come in colors you use. It can come in the items in your painting, the objects, and how they may be horizontal compared to. And you can also think of it in terms as, I say texture, color, shapes, and what have you. So maybe if you look at a painting that you like, try to see where the artist shows balance so that your eye kind of gently flows through the painting. You know, it's all part of a few things that are called elements of art. And elements of art are ways that help an artist show their ideas and emotions to communicate that through their work. And when you do that, it helps to keep some things in mind. And these are the elements of art. Those things are, there's value, which is the light and the dark and the tone of your color. And it helps you create contrast and depth in your artwork. So when you look at it like this painting, I can make it appear so that you can see the background is the background. It doesn't flow within the whole picture. You can tell that there's depth. And that's how we work with light and color tone. That will help. As you see, the line in the back with the very dark green shows that that's far away behind the subject. And there's also space, and that is between the objects or around and between the objects. Space can be positive space that's filled in and has objects, or it can be negative, empty areas in your painting, which also gives depth to a two-dimensional artwork. And I hope this is making sense. And I can go more into examples in another video where I'll show it. But right now, I just want to kind of get those thoughts out there to you. It's something to think about. And the other ones are, I think there's line, there's shape and form. A line is, a mark made with your paint or your pencil or crayon or a brush stroke. Lines can be straight, they can be thick, thin, small, curved, and shapes. Shapes are two-dimensional areas, and they show the boundaries between. They can be, shapes, of course, can be like squares, circles, or they can be more organic, like things you find in nature, like leaves or a blade of grass. Pretty obvious color. They can set the mood of your piece, and they also create contrast, like what we said with value, the lightness and the darkness. Color has a hue and a value, and when you intensify a color, that can send a certain message that you might want to show through your work. I think color also can express feelings, and I do that a lot in my abstracts, because a lot of my abstracts are about my neurodivergent disabilities and my the issues I have with math and numbers. And sometimes I might use certain colors to portray my feelings. But it also shows with the red, it's not just the color, it's all these things that work together. Texture is another one. Textures I use also in my abstracts. If you can, if you've seen any of my videos or pieces, if you look up close, you'll see scratches and texture that's actually on the painting. You can feel it, but you can also see it. And that also adds a quality to your artwork and a sense of feeling that the artist might be having or feeling through the piece. Some other advice that I would say to any beginner artist. First of all, don't worry about being perfect. Even if you're a beginner, I'm sure there are some things you've done that are pretty impressive. And that's probably why you're interested in art. Maybe someone has told you, hey, you really look like you have a talent for this. You can draw so well. Maybe not. Maybe you haven't had any compliments. Either way, don't give up and practice. Start slow. Don't try to do a self-portrait if you're not ready for that. Try some other simple practices first. The more you paint and draw, the better you will get. You'll improve. And the best thing I would think to do is to just set some time every day to practice. And that does not have to be for hours or even 1 hour or even 20 minutes. If you can only do 5 minutes, do 5 minutes. Try to do it at the same time every day. Maybe that's when you wake up. Maybe that's when you go to sleep or anywhere in between. Maybe you have a break during your work day where you just get a few minutes to yourself. Carry around a small sketchbook or make one with some scrap paper that you have. Just staple it together or whatever. However you have to do it. Be prepared and make sure that you have a few tools with you at all times so that when you find a moment to sketch or draw something or an idea maybe you have, that you're ready and you can jot it down quickly. Even if it's just the words. Say you want to do a certain abstract and you have an idea of the colors you want to use. Jot those colors down that interest you at that time. You might forget later, and it really, for me especially, that's why I'm giving you that particular advice, because I forget things all the time, and that's why I write them down. And another thing, if you don't have any paper, you just find yourself with just your phone, you can always record on your phone or write yourself an email or whatever you need to do. Whatever. Just try to get into the habit, because you're an artist. You're an artist now, and you're going to start thinking like an artist, acting like an artist, and making art like an artist. Your own individual art from you that you create And no one else will have that. It's yours and it's part of you. And as you get more into painting, drawing, you will feel most likely like the art is a part of you. I've heard of artists that giving their art away or selling it is almost painful. I mean, it's giving a part of themselves away. So with that thought, I'm going to maybe speed this up and let you watch a little bit more. I don't actually finish this painting. The major details will come a little later, and I will record that when I do it. I have some other projects that I'm also working on now and some other video ideas. So if you've gotten this far and you've watched all of this, I really appreciate it and want to thank you. And if you could just give me a like, it'll really send that message to me to keep going. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching.